The streets of Mohenjo-Daro. The sun was setting over the vast Indus plains, casting a golden hue over the neatly laid out streets of Mohenjo-Daro. The city, a masterpiece of planning and precision, hummed with the sounds of daily life. Children ran through the alleyways, their laughter echoing off the baked brick houses. Traders haggled in the bustling marketplace, the scent of spices and fresh grain filling the air. In the distance, smoke curled from the potter's kilns, where skilled hands shaped clay into elegant jars and bowls. At the heart of the city, Anaya, a young girl of 10, watched from the steps of her family's house as her father returned from the docks. He was a merchant, his robes dusty from travel, his hands carrying a bundle wrapped in fine cloth. She ran up to him eagerly. "What did you bring, father?" Her father smiled, unwrapping the bundle to reveal a seal, small, square, and beautifully carved. On it was a strange animal, a beast with the body of a bull and a single, spiraling horn. Above it were tiny symbols, etched with perfect precision. "It's from Harappa," he said, "for trade. This seal will tell the buyers that our goods are genuine." Anaya traced the symbols with her fingers. She didn't understand their meaning, but she had seen them everywhere, on pottery, on buildings, even on her mother's jewelry. It was a language, a way for her people to communicate across vast distances. But what did they say? She would never know, neither would her father, nor anyone else in the centuries to come. For the Indus script, the language of Anaya's people, would one day be lost, buried beneath the sands of time. The mystery of the Indus script. The symbols Anaya saw that day would, thousands of years later, puzzle archaeologists and linguists. Unlike the cuneiform of Mesopotamia or the hieroglyphs of Egypt, the Indus script has never been deciphered. The seals, found in great numbers across Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Lothal, and Dholavira, all carry these strange markings. Some feature animals, elephants, bulls, tigers, and unicorn-like creatures. Others depict human-like figures seated in a yogic posture, a possible early form of Shiva. Did these symbols tell stories? Were they names of merchants and rulers? Were they prayers to forgotten gods? No one knows. For nearly a century, the world's greatest minds have tried to unlock their meaning. The scribes of the Indus. As the night fell over Mohenjo-Daro, a group of scribes gathered in a courtyard, lit by flickering oil lamps. They sat cross-legged on the ground, their hands steady as they pressed tiny symbols onto a fresh piece of wet clay. One of them, a young man named Ravi, carefully carved the marks with a sharpened tool. He was one of the few in the city who could write, trained by his elders to preserve knowledge through these signs. Each mark must be perfect, his teacher had told him, for it carries our words across lands and generations. But the Indus people did not write on great stone slabs or long scrolls, as the Egyptians and Mesopotamians did. Their words were pressed into small seals, carved into clay tablets, or painted onto pots. And so, unlike the great civilizations whose words were copied and preserved, their language would fade away. A code without a key. Thousands of years later, in a quiet museum room, a scholar named Asko Parpola stared at an Indus seal, tracing the same symbols Anaya had touched. He believed the script was related to Dravidian languages, like Tamil, and that it could be an early form of their writing. Another scholar, S.R. Rao, thought the script might be an early version of Sanskrit, the sacred language of the Vedas. Some argued that the symbols were not even a language at all, just a system of trademarks and religious symbols. Each theory brought new hope, but no clear answer. The Indus script remained silent, and yet, the mystery has not stopped people from searching. The last inscription. Back in Mohenjo-Daro, years after Anaya had first seen her father's seal, the city was changing. The streets were emptier, the wells ran dry, trade with distant lands was slowing. Something was happening to her home, something no one could stop. One evening, as she walked past the marketplace, she saw an old scribe hunched over a stone slab, carving one last inscription. She paused, watching him. "What does it say?" she asked. The scribe smiled faintly. "It is a message for those who come after us," he said, "a story that must be remembered." And then, like the city itself, like its people and its language, his words faded into the night. Epilogue. A civilization's whisper. Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, Lothal, and Dolavira all fell silent. Their buildings crumbled, their people vanished, their script was forgotten, but the symbols still remain, etched onto seals, buried beneath the earth, waiting to be understood. And perhaps one day someone will find the key to Anaya's language and let her people speak once more.